Good evening and welcome to the Sports Route. We are here at Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill on Smithwick Drive. Welcome you into tonight's program. We're here every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. And we thank Brown Anderson for his sponsorship. Come on out for some great wings and trivia. Tonight we will have Coach Jenny Hart from Pitt Community College, and later, joining us later will be Jason Mills from D.H. Conley High School. We'll be talking a lot of playoff baseball and softball. It's that time of year where we head into the postseason, and got a lot planned to talk about tonight. But after this message, we will be back with Coach Jenny Hart from Pitt Community College.
Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Us winning and graduation tomorrow, I'm not sure what our sophomores really know what to do with this time, but technically some of them still had a final today, so we went ahead and gave them today and tomorrow off so they can just prepare for life after softball, but we'll practice Wednesday through Saturday and give them Mother's Day off before we head out on Monday.
Yeah, with a big week with graduation also, obviously, yeah. Of course, you've only got a couple of sophomores, so I guess
We do. We only have two sophomores from last year's team, Allie Phillips, who played at CBA Cock, and then Taylor Carroll, who was at Princeton High School. But actually one of our freshman transfers, Stephanie Villalobos, she's actually going to be getting her degree tomorrow too, and she got into nursing school at Sandhills. So we call them our three sophomores, but she is a freshman in eligibility. Okay.
Well, let's talk the season overall. 32-11 overall. You were 17-7 in the conference, 18-2 at home. So a really good year at home. Got out to a 16-1 start, then lost 4-6. But you had Southeastern and Florence Darlington in there. Had another little stretch where you lost 4 or 5. But you finished. You win 80 of your last 9 games. So obviously you want to play well at the end of the year. You feel like you're playing your best ball. And what's been the difference down the stretch here?
I think it's just a lot of peaking at the right time. We started off really good, like you said, 16-1, and I think we had a 15-game win streak. And after that first loss, I was like, you never want to lose, but at the same time, it's like, this might be the best thing to happen to us. Our schedule, we actually weren't supposed to have that many home games at the front of our schedule, but a couple of teams asked if we could switch home and away. And after I looked at the schedule in February, I'm like, man, we're playing all of our home games right away, and of course, our hardest road trip is always Southeastern and Florence Darlington. So, of course, that's our first road trip, and we get on the road and go down there. And I think it's me. My team never play. We were joking around about it today. My team never plays well in Whiteville, North Carolina, for whatever reason. And Southeastern and Florence Darlington, I mean, we were tied in conference technically with Southeastern, and Florence Darlington had the number 1 seed. So, two very tough teams, and because of their proximity to each other, they always turn into, well, that's our away trip, Florence Darlington, Southeastern. But we hit that stretch our second baseman had an injury with her hand, and then we lost a couple games in the middle of our season. But like you said, winning the last 8 of the 9, it really has just been some freshmen really stepping up into some roles. Jana Dawson from South Lenore High School telling me, hey, I'll play second base, and us throwing her in there, and all of a sudden she's hitting the crap out of the ball, and things are panning out in our way, and they really just rallied together those last couple of weeks of conference play, and like you said, just really peaking at the right time. So couldn't be happier with our result, and the heart of the team is just blowing me away. Very, very proud.
Yeah. Let's talk about the tournament. You come in as the number 2 seed. Florence Darlington is number 1. You knock them off, and then as you say, it's a flip from last year.
Right.
Last year you had to come through the loser bracket and
right.
beat Richard Bland and did that. This year you play Richard Bland, they knock you off, then you win the final. Just talk about, the intensity of this rematch, the familiarity. You were a part of that Richard Bland program. Just
yeah.
I guess you know each other so well. Just how did that unfold?
Last year's team is a lot different than this year. Last year's team, we had 10 sophomores. So the leadership and the experience was there. No, last year's team was so different with so many sophomores. So we had the experience, and we had the real drive to win it all. This year coming in with 12 freshmen on our team who, we had 2 sophomores from last year's team on the field. So the intensity with Richard Bland has always kind of been there. They have sophomores from last year's team who lost against us. So you could tell every time that we stepped on the field with them. And in conference play, we went 2-2 against them. We split at home. We split at their place. So it was always been heated games throughout conference. And I knew that once we got into the tournament that it was going to be a big dogfight. It was a lot more relaxing being on the winning end of it. Heading into that first championship game, not coming away with the wind. It left a big bitter taste in the 3 sophomores' mouths. And I'll tell you, in between games after the game we lost, heading into the final championship game, I had Kelsey Peden and Stephanie Villalobos really take over and talk to the team and lay it out on the line for them and say this isn't how we're going out. Mm-hmm. And some things went our way, some things didn't go our way in that game, and we came out on top. It's not often you win the championship game on a double play from your center fielder to your shortstop. So just they powered through, and Stephanie, she told me, she goes, I'm pitching. I'm going in the mound. I don't care what you say. I'm going to get this done, and she got it done.
And she got it done at the plate too. She drives in 3 runs, hits a home run, gets the game-winning hit. So the all-around game from her. She just, she steps up like you expect a sophomore to do.
And she's, she's been pretty consistent batting second in our lineup. And if you look, some people really look at stats when they kind of determine their lineup. Our lineup was solely decided going into the region tournament just based off of this is what works for us. If you told me, well, why does so-and-so bat number 2, I'd be like, well, that just works for us. It's not, if you look at her batting average, you'd be like, oh, that's kind of silly to have her at your number 2 spot, But then going into the weekend, and she goes 8 for 17 with a double, triple, home run, 8 RBIs. Like, that is – and then she's getting it done on the mound. She strikes out 6 people in the championship game. And Richard Bland was a hitting team. They did get 10 hits against us. And I told them going into it, we're going to have to out-hit them to win. And I told her, you're going to have to hit to win. And what do you know? She knocks in a solo home run in the bottom of the first to even things up. So super talented. Holy cow. Just peaking, like I said, peaking at the right time.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to say your kids had a chip on their shoulder, had something to prove, but as we were talking, all the awards were swept by Florence Darlington. And your kids came out and said, well, we'll just have to go out and show them. Yeah,
Florence Darlington has kind of been big brother all season long. When we went down to play them in Florence Darlington for our first road trip, we were only able to get 1 game in, and it wasn't even a complete game. We ended up getting rained out in the top of the 7th when we had runners on, nobody out, and the game was called because of rain. And I think since that day they were like, all right, we'll just, we'll have to take care of business. And So taking 2 games, head to head, we were 2-2 against Florence Darlington, but Florence Darlington took care of business in the conference, and we just weren't able to get the wins that they were. So, like we were joking about going into the banquet, and Florence Darlington, rightfully so too. They were a very talented team and coached very well, but they got Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, Pitch of the Year. And as a head coach, you kind of worry about those kind of awards because you don't know how personal people are going to take them. And coming out of the banquet, they're kind of joking, and they used it as motivation. All right, we'll just have to show them that we're the number 1 team. We got the best pitcher. We got the best players. And you're talking about, like I said, freshmen. Usually the maturity of freshmen isn't that high. Yeah. But I did prep them before we went on the road to travel to Burlington, and I told them, look, this is how the awards go, and we're not here for individual status. We're here to bring home the big team award, and that's what we're going to be all about. And they really bought in. Yeah,
it's probably hard to compare this year's team to last year because you do have so many new faces. But I mean, do you see any similarities in your strengths, or is this just a totally new product out there on the field?
I mean, I think the biggest consistency from last year to this year is probably just the 2 sophomores and their performances. Taylor Carroll has still produced for us. She was a juggernaut last year, and this year everybody pitched around her, and yet she still had some of the best stats in the region, which I think is – it's very hard to do when, coming in as a sophomore knowing that everybody's got an X on your back. Yeah. Allie Phillips carried a lot of innings for us in the circle, similar to last year too, but – I'll have to say it is much a different team in terms of personality. The talent is still there, but the youngness, the freshmen, I think we were a little bit worried about going into the later part of the season because we weren't sure if we really had the strong will to win, like last year's team. Because last year's team was determined, like nobody's going to take us from, nobody's going to take this from us. Whereas this year's team, we were a little bit of an underdog, I think, and especially with our injuries going into the tournament, it was like, are we going to be able to pull this off? And sure enough, we were able to. So we found our will to win. In between that loss and that win. And that had a lot to do with, like I said, Taylor Carroll, Kelsey Peden, and Stephanie Villalobos just taking over and saying this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, before we talk about the World Series, I want to talk about those injuries a little bit. Yeah. Tell me, you lose one catcher, another catcher breaks a thumb, you're a second baseman. So just tell us about how those girls their pain tolerance and just what they were doing to try to win.
We were so – Kelsey Peden is someone who came to me. She actually is a sophomore academically. She had to redshirt her freshman season because she tore a labrum. So you have a kid who's just the biggest heart for a team, has already gone through a season completely injured, and we're so lucky to have her on our team now, and she makes it through almost the entire season. What happened was she kind of just slid wrong, and, we thought maybe there was something wrong with a tendon or maybe a hyperextension within her elbow. So we let her rest all week last week. And we thought, for sure, she's gonna battle through it. She'll be fine. She'll be ready. Championship Saturday, she'll be ready. Well, sure enough, it just wasn't there. And at that point, it's not worth the risk. We can do this. So we throw Megan Policina, who's a second team outfielder, super talented, biggest utility player in the conference. I think she her home was mostly in outfield, and we didn't need her to catch. So we throw her behind the plate, and of course she hasn't caught in 5 weeks. I told Kelsey, I said, you're calling every pitch. I want you to work with Megan. I want you to call pitches so that our pitchers have the confidence of knowing, okay, if Kelsey wants me to throw this, then I know it's going to be the right thing to do. And Megan got it done on Friday, and going into Saturday, she caught that first game, did a heck of a job. And, of course, we're warming up. Florence Darlington's playing Richard Bland, and we're warming up and getting ready to head over to the field. And my assistant coach looks at me, and she goes, Megan just jammed her thumb. I was like, just jammed it? I'm like, why is she crying? This is the girl that, if I told her to run through the wall, she's going to run through the wall, head first. Just total trust. And of course, we find out, we get through that first game, and I'm like, Megan's having a really hard time catching the ball. And I'm like, Megan, are you okay? She's like, no, Coach, I got this. I'm fine. She goes, I found a way that I can catch the ball and still frame it. So she's, pretty soon I see her throwing hand backing up her catching hand, and I'm like, this. She goes, I told the umpire what I'm doing so he doesn't think, I'm a bad catcher.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just like, I just need you to catch the ball, But she made it through. She does actually have a fractured thumb, so she is in they did not put a cast on it. She's in a splint. So we'll work with our third string catcher this week, because we found out that we will not be having Kelsey back, unfortunately, but she'll call every pitch. And Megan will move back out to outfield. So they're still usable. Yeah. We just got to find a little bit of a different role. So we'll be okay there.
That makes it even more amazing that you were able to win this
Absolutely.
with the adjustments you had to make to your lineup and people playing out of position.
Yeah, the adversity that we had. Like I said, when Megan was put behind a plate, our second string, our number 2 pitcher, Allie Phillips, is playing outfield. Well, she hasn't played outfield in 3 or 4 years. In high school she pitched every game, and who knows when the last time she played outfield for her summer ball team, the Canes Elite, was.
Yeah.
And she got it done. Every ball that was hit to her, she caught it. There's a lot of confidence in everybody getting the job done, and just 110%. Just as long as you give me 110%, whatever happens, I'll be okay with it. So there wasn't a lack of a try or anything like that. So lots of heart.
Yeah. And going to the World Series, obviously it's a new trip for a lot of these girls. What did you learn as a coach? As just how to prepare them for what? The travel to get there.
Right.
That's a challenge.
It's a long trip.
Yeah. So you got travel, and then what they're going to see when they get there, the types of teams and the play.
Well, we were talking about it. Myself and Cassie Harrell, my assistant coach, were talking about it. I'm like, isn't it so great knowing really what to expect going into it year 2?
Yeah.
And especially, it's a huge advantage to have kids on your team that were there last year to really help those freshmen, make them understand, like, here's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
It's a lot different when I tell them, here's what's going to happen as a coach, and then be like, all right, coach, whatever. But for them to really see it as from another player who's been there and seen it and done it and played in it, it's a huge advantage. So we really know what to prepare for, I think, going into this year. We know last year we were kind of like, well, we're probably going to see some really good pitching. And it really wasn't a speed factor. It was mostly just a movement factor. The hitters there, when we played the number 1 team last year, it was, you kind of just had to sit back and laugh and be like, wow, that's a great hit. We threw it a foot off the plate, and she still pulled it over the left field fence. So we do know what to prepare for going into this year. And it is more relaxing as a head coach. I will say I'm more relaxed now than I was last year, just having had the experience and knowing what to expect on the trip down. And last year we took a charter bus, and you drive right through Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So we stopped at Alabama Stadium. We were like, can we go onto the field? Grounds crew was great. They were like, come onto the field. You want to go into their locker room? You want to check their stuff out? They're out of town.
Cool.
So I think that was, it is about the experience. Obviously competing, we are on a business trip. We're competing for a national championship, and, we want to win some ball games and hopefully bring some hardware. But at the end of the day, it really is about the experience and, what they're going to remember from this trip and who they're going to be with and what kind of experiences they come away with.
Yeah, they'll be talking about this for years to come. And
I hope so. I know I will, so I hope they will too.
And a lot of it will be what happens off the field.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you ask anybody what they remember about, well, what do you remember about your season? And you remember you remember your teammates. And you probably remember your coaches, the good, the bad, the ugly. And you just kind of hope that or remind them, hey, your experience is what you make it.
Yeah.
And I think this year's team has really gotten a hold of making their experience really, really phenomenal. So.
Yeah. And I think you tend to bond when you go on long trip.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of things you learn about someone when you're in a bus together for 14 hours one way and then on the way back. I'll tell you that the trip down was a lot more fun than the trip back. I think of the trip back, everybody was just kind of just get me there.
Yeah.
But if it's not so bad, it's a lot easier when you don't have to drive.
we mentioned a few of the players. I just want to kind of touch on a few of them. Stephanie, obviously, just a tremendous player. She's from California.
Yep.
But just talk about just her versatility and what she brings to your team.
Yeah, I got to be totally honest. I got extremely lucky when she contacted me because, it's not every day you get and I'm from the West Coast, so I'm a little bit biased about softball talent on the West Coast because I think that the mechanics of softball are better on the West Coast than they are in other places. But, she contacted me. She's like, I graduated, 3 years ago. And, as a coach, I'm like, you haven't played softball for usually that's a kind of a red flag, I would say. And last year she came in the spring and she's like, can I come and pitch? And I said, yeah, come out for a workout. And I was catching her. And after I took a drop ball to the stomach, I said, I think you're good. We'll take you. And we just got really lucky with her. So she came in as a right-handed pitcher, second baseman. We turned her into more of a third baseman. And now at this point she's back to pitching and playing second base a little bit. Like I said, her on-base percentage has been very high. Her hitting hasn't been so consistent until the latter part of the season, especially in the tournament. Like I said, she just turned it on. She definitely has the ability and the power to hit. I think she's leading the region in hit by pitches, which, of course, you don't want your pitcher to be the one leading the region in hit by pitches, but she's willing to do whatever it takes to get on base. And then when at the top of your lineup, that's what you need for your 3, 4, 5 hitters. Super versatile. Her speed and softball IQ on the bases it's not even coachable. I actually told her, I said, if I try and tell you what to do, I'm just going to mess things up. So when you get on base, you decide if you're going to go or not, because by the time I tell you yes or no, it's, so she really does trust her instincts, and we tell her, trust your instincts and go with your instinct. If your instinct's saying go, you can make it, then by God, you're going to make it. So she's, and that's why she got tournament MVP. I still argue, I still think that she is the best pitcher in the conference. But I mean, like you said, it's better to come away with the team win than it is to get individual status awards. But she's extremely talented. Smart in the classroom, great kid. Like I said, very lucky that we got her on our team.
So she was first team pitcher, Taylor Carroll first team infield, and Morgan Shirley first team outfield. So pretty good nucleus there too. Yeah, here's the deal: when you're strong up the middle, you're probably going to have a really good team. So our catcher Kelsey Peden got second team all region, and then our shortstop Taylor Carroll, she was the Region X Player of the Year last year. She made third team All American. To my knowledge and our assistant athletic director's knowledge, she is the only female All-American at Pitt Community College. Wow. So you want to talk about it? Yeah, you want to talk about a kid putting Pitt Community College on the map. And I get emails every week about what's your shortstop doing? Where's Taylor Carroll going? I'm like, she's going to nursing school. So she definitely has the ability. I mean, I think she could play at a Division I. And she is the most humble player I've ever coached. Great family. And she comes from a powerhouse high school program where she won volleyball and softball championships. And her teammate was Kelsey Peden in high school. So the chemistry has really helped us out. And then Morgan Shirley, who didn't even play high school all four years at T.H. Conley, she comes in as a little lefty slapper, and I'm, looking at her, I'm like, why aren't you hitting for power? Why are you just putting the ball on the ground? And so we teach her kind of a new way of hitting, and she's like, oh, this is a lot easier, Probably more fun.
A little bit more fun. And, pretty soon she's knocking triples in. She had a triple in the championship game. That was huge for us. And, I mean, we call her out all the time. You look kind of lazy because when someone has that speed and they just loft to the ball, it's like, oh, she's not that good. She makes it look that easy. And when we got to the banquet meeting, when we were talking about Player of the Year and Pitcher of the Year, Morgan was actually voted best outfielder in the conference. So she's actually going to be submitted as a nomination to be an All-American.
Outstanding.
And making it to a World Series, that should really help her chances and odds to possibly be an All-American. Our girls always, every time she makes a play in practice and every time she makes a play in the game, every single girl in our dugout said, that's the best center fielder in the country right there. She had 2 or 3 great diving catches in the last couple of games against Richard Bland. And that you don't have a center fielder that has many double plays. She has 3 or 4 double plays on the season from catching the ball and throwing girls out. So she's a 5-prong player. She can hit for power. She can hit for average. She's quick. She led the region in stolen bases. Like, you go on and on about the talent about this kid. And selfishly, I'm like, thank God we got her here. If she was this good at, if she had had this in high school, we wouldn't have had her. Right. So I think that she's happy with where she's at with us. And we're just so happy to have her too. Yeah. And, local kid, that's even better. I mean, everybody wants a local kid and great kids. Yeah.
Don't have a huge roster, but you got 2 from Conley, 2 from Jacksonville, 2 from Princeton. You mentioned chemistry. How does that help having, people who have played together before, either summer ball or high school?
Yeah, and I think it can help and it can hurt. If we had 5 kids from Princeton, that's probably not a good mix.
Right.
But if you get the right kids,
you get a little click.
Right. You get right. You don't want too many clicks. And they've branched out. Taylor and Kelsey are really good friends, but they hang out with different people. And Brianna and Morgan from Conley are good friends, but they also hang out with other people. Yeah. So we do a lot of team building in our fall, and I make them, do things outside of their comfort zone. And there's a lot of pushback at first, like, oh, we don't want to, no one likes feeling uncomfortable. But here's the deal with college athletics: you're never really going to grow or get better if you're not outside of your comfort zone. Right. Diving practice for Morgan in the outfield is not always the most fun practice, but that's what made us, that's what made her the athlete that she is now. So the biggest thing with, those 3 groups of kids, I look at Conley and I look at Princeton. Those are 2 very good high school programs where they have played for championship caliber teams, and they know what it takes to win. And they know it's not about personal glory, and they know that sometimes the role that they have isn't all, putting down a sack bunt is not as glorious as hitting the home run. Yeah. And I preached it before we went on our last road trip to Florence Darlington and Patrick Henry, and I said, you guys got to realize it's about the team, and your sack bunt might move the winning runner over to put her into scoring position. And those 6 kids that are from the same high school, same area, I think that they really get it. Yeah. And it has helped our other freshmen really get it and buy in to the process. Yeah. So.
And when you go out and recruit, obviously pitcher, catcher, certain things you look for a specific position, but are there some you say, okay, here's an athlete, and I might could use her at short or center field, and when you have injuries like this, you want somebody who can play multiple positions.
Right, and that's the outside of her having a broken thumb at this point, Megan Policino is one of the best utility players I have ever come in contact with, and I don't think that she realizes how good she is yet. I think if she does realize how good she can be, the sky is really the limit. She's second team all region, but I'm not sure that left field really can highlight how good she really is. But when you have a third-team All-American and the returning Region Next Player of the Year playing shortstop, it's kind of hard to say, like, hey, do you want to try a different position? But I do think that, Megan Policino going into next season, we're probably going to look to move her to shortstop. No college coach wants a one-dimensional player. Everybody should be multi-positional. We make our outfield do infield stuff. We make our infielders do outfield stuff because you just never know. Yeah. I mean, the girl that's going to get ready to be thrown behind the plate this week, she has caught. She's never caught for us in a game, though, so that'll be different. So the biggest thing moving forward with her is just making sure that she's comfortable and our pitchers are comfortable with her. Right. But, yeah, you want a utility player, and that's a frustrating thing about sometimes with parents and young kids. It's, I get it. Not everybody can be the shortstop. Yeah. But, there's not a lot of first basemen that are recruited as first basemen. It's usually the second baseman or the catcher that gets moved over there.
But you better have a good one.
But you better have a good one. And a lot of times with us, we win games because, and you can tell from our stats, you got to hit to win. We have really good pitching, but you still got to hit to win. Yeah. So if you can hit, we're going to find a spot for you on the field. And that's what our lineup does.
Yeah.
So
I want to talk a little bit about your journey. An interesting one, I think. But
yeah, I almost hate telling people where I'm from because it's like, oh, I got to go into the whole story. Here we go.
But I mean, you grew up in Washington, played in Nebraska, then ended up on the East Coast. Just tell our viewers a little bit about
actually
how you got here.
I out of high school, I'm from a really small high school, so in high school I pitched every game in high school softball, and you say my last name, Harp in Odessa, Washington, and people are like, oh yeah, the softball sisters. But very small community, very uneducated about what college softball was. I did a couple of Division II visits. I almost went to a school, Division II, Northwood in Michigan. At that time, I was like, no, it's too far away from home. I can't. I just can't leave home that soon. So I played 2 years of junior college ball at Columbia Basin College. And it wasn't until I got into college where I was finally really taught really how to hit. And I was like, oh, my God, like I'm a really good hitter. I didn't realize how good of a hitter I could be. I'm like, I'm hitting it over the fence. What's going on? I was just God help me, I was just not fast. And speed is not something that comes easily for someone who isn't quick. But I played 2 years of college ball in Pasco, Washington. And I had the opportunity to continue playing at Nebraska Wesleyan, which is also in Lincoln. But I had an older sister that was in Lincoln, and that's what kind of drew me in. At the time, I was very focused on getting into sports marketing. And I think one of the toughest decisions of my younger life was to say, I'm okay with not playing softball anymore. And I remember making the decision, and my sister was like, why are you crying about it? Just emotional to finally be like, you know what, I'm okay with moving on with my life. And so I can always be a part of softball in some way, shape, or form. And I just didn't know that it would lead into coaching, in all honesty. So I finished my undergrad at Nebraska, and I was a intern at the Nebraska Marketing Athletics. And you're talking about, the Cornhuskers football, and, I'm on the field for every sold-out game. And, that was quite the experience, and it was an eye-opening experience. I think I'm still biased. I think the greatest people in the United States live in Lincoln, Nebraska. The friendliest, and North Carolina is pretty close. My parents were out for the region tournament, and the one thing my parents said, they're like, the people here are just so nice. And I was like, I didn't realize. You're right. They really are, But
Southern hospitality. So.
Southern hospitality, and it is definitely different. But the Midwest, I tell you, the people in the Midwest are pretty good people too. So
and I found that times I've been out to Wichita, and that area is just they're just genuine, friendly people. So. Yeah,
and as long as if you wear anything red, you'll fit right in. But so I graduated in Nebraska. Like I was telling you, I got a job at AAA, Colorado Springs Sky Sox, which at the time was the affiliate for the Rockies. Now they're the affiliate for the Brewers, I think. So I was working marketing for a AAA team, and I learned how to function on little to zero sleep. I just realized that really wasn't the life for me, professional sports. I wanted to get back into college athletics. You just don't realize how genuine and authentic college athletics is until you go from a huge college name brand to professional sports that is kind of a grind at times. So I got a call from my former boss in Nebraska. She said, I'm taking an assistant athletic director job at VCU. If you come out, I'll be able to pay you and pay for your master's degree if you come out here. So found myself on the East Coast when I was, 23 or 24. And I've been here since. So after I got my master's degree, I got the job offer at Richard Bland College. So that's where I started my coaching career, and we're pretty good right off the bat. I laugh because this is the first year that I've coached in, Region X, which is the conference we play in. This is the first year that I did not win the regular season. So our first 2 years at Richard Bland, we were regular season champions. Last year at Pitt, we were regular season champions, and I'll tell you, it's okay because we're tournament champions, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. So a little bit of a chip in my shoulder not to be regular season champions, but I'll take it.
Yeah, but you've set the bar pretty high. I mean,
yeah.
As a young coach.
Right. I remember a parent asked me last year, like, what are you going to do? You know, you already set the bar high. What's next? And I said, I guess I got to retire. But it's too fun. It's too fun. And this group has been too fun to even put into words how much winning has meant, just to see their reactions and their hard work pay off, and where they started out in the fall to where they are now. Because, you know, anytime you're working with a big group of freshmen, there is a big learning curve. Mm-hmm. You know, and at times as a head coach and even my assistant coach, it was like, God, I just keep saying the same thing over and over. Like, when are they going to get it? It's got to click sometime. And I'll tell you what, it clicked this past weekend, and it was totally worth it. I might have more gray hair, but it's been worth it.
Well, I guess that's what makes the job worth it. I mean,
yes, the payoff.
And makes it gratifying is
you
put in so much time during the season, and the light comes on, and you have that success.
Yeah, it was a heck of a, I mean, it was a long day on Saturday. I mean, we were warming up for game 1 at 8:30 a.m. and we finished our last game at probably 8:30 p.m. And I'm like, we just spent 12 hours on the field, and it was the best 12 hours, you know, of the year. Just to see them, you know, tired, emotional, and to get what they've been working for all season. I don't think that they really realize, like, oh wow, like this is how it's going to feel. Like this is an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
Winning is always awesome, but like I said, they really they played their hearts out. There's no other way to describe it other than playing your hearts out with the injuries and the adversity that we overcame to really pull it all together. So
yeah. And so you head out Monday. You find out about your seeding next week. 16-team tournaments. So just kind of focus on that and what's ahead for this team. Yeah,
we're you know, after those 2 days, I think everybody's a little bit tired, so they should be rehabbing and hopefully foam rolling and stretching. I'm sure they're not doing any of that though. But so we'll get back to the field Wednesday. Just really try to talk to them and prepare them for what they might see and come across. And it's like I said, it's hard to really talk to them and tell them this is what's going to happen, because you know it could be totally different.
Right.
But we're just going to prepare the way that we've been preparing all season and going over little things and saying, here's what you need to work on individually. Because we are at that point in the season where, you know, everybody knows what they're really good at and everybody knows what they really need to work on.
Yeah.
So it's a good part of the season. It's not stressful. You know, the biggest thing going to Mississippi is it's already really humid there. You know, it feels like August there.
Yeah.
So I think combating that and just staying, you know, conditioning quite a bit, which of course they're not going to enjoy. But we'll condition, you know, we'll hit. And just try to really get mentally prepared, because, you know, traveling on a Monday, practicing on a Tuesday, a banquet, it's kind of a whirlwind of 48 hours before you actually step on the field and play your first game. So I'm hoping that the confidence stays high and, you know, they realize, like, okay, you know, we just did that, we can do this, and play, you know, inning by inning instead of focusing on wins versus losses. We've been preaching that all year, just focus on the process.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we start focusing on winning, the winning stops, you know. Yeah. So, like I said, they've really bought in. I hope they continue to buy in and just trust the process of what we've been doing.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great year so far.
Yes.
2 years in a row headed to the Nationals, to the World Series. Jenny's doing a great job there at PCC, and
Thank you.
We appreciate her coming in and talking about our program.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll be following you and reporting on how you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll be back after this break to look ahead to the high school
softball playoffs. Did you know that Tiebreakers now stocks over 50 craft beers? We have slowly added to our craft beer menu and are continuing to add new crafts weekly with your help. Stop by after work and try one of your favorite craft beers and enjoy one of our handcrafted appetizers, burgers, or salads. If you're serious about your craft beer, then find us on the Untapped app. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill. I'd like to thank Jenny Hart from Pitt Community College for stopping by to talk about the Bulldog softball team and head into the World Series. I want to take a quick look now at the weekend sports and look ahead to the high school baseball and softball playoffs. I want to start out with ECU baseball, a big weekend for the Pirates. I'm sure Coach Godwin's in a much better mood this Monday than he was last Monday after being swept by Houston. The Pirates go to Tulane and pick up a 3-game sweep, winning 9-5, 8-3, and 6-1. So the Pirates are now 33-12 overall, 17-2 on the road, which is the second best road record in the nation. The Pirates will host Norfolk State on Tuesday. They are at UNC Wilmington on Wednesday. Then they have Cincinnati coming into town Friday, Saturday, Sunday for AAC 3-game series. They will play Campbell on May 15th and then wrap up the regular season at UConn the following weekend. Looking at the standings right now, is Houston is in first at 14-7. ECU, South Florida, and UConn are tied at second, but they are tied in the loss column all at 11-7. Cincinnati at 10-8. Central Florida is at 11-10. Tulane at 7-11 now after being swept by the Pirates. Wichita State at 6-12, and Memphis at 3-5. Turning to the Pitt Community College Bulldogs, they do have the number 1 seed in the upcoming tournament in Burlington. That'll get started on Friday. Bulldogs are coming off a sweep. Brunswick Community College, they took 2 games on Saturday, 18-8 in 5 innings, and then just a thrilling comeback from a 7-0 deficit and win 11-8 on a walk-off home run by Joe Mason, who's just on fire right now. He's 12 for 20 with 6 home runs and 19 RBIs in his last 5 games. Just a tremendous player, transferred from Wingate University, and just lighting it up. But we were talking in the press box, and just couldn't believe that they would. Of course, Patrick Wheeler's obviously a good player and a good hitter, but Patrick hits left-handed, so had an open base. They put Patrick on, and then Joe hits one over the right field fence for his second home run of the game. 6 RBIs in that second game. The Bulldogs will open Region 10 the tournament play on Friday, and they will play number 8 Southeastern at 7 o'clock Friday night. The other games in the first round is Pasco Hernando versus Wake Tech. Pasco Hernando is out of Florida. Then number 2 Patrick Henry will play 7th-seeded Bryant Stratton at 1 o'clock. And Catawba Valley and Brunswick Community College will play at 4 o'clock. Bulldogs right now are ranked 13th in the country. New poll should come out tomorrow, and wouldn't be surprised to see them move up a couple more notches. If the Bulldogs win on Friday, they will play again at 7 o'clock on Saturday. If they happen to lose that first game, they would play at 1 o'clock on Saturday. The championship is set for 7 o'clock on Monday night. And that tournament is being played in Burlington at Burlington Athletic Stadium, home of the Burlington Royals. Bulldogs did win last year, so they're the defending champions. Come in 28-10-1. They finished 20-2 in the conference, and they have won 6 in a row and 22 of their last 24 games. So Tommy Eason obviously getting it done there. Looking at the high school playoffs, the seedings were released earlier today by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, and D.H. Conley will be the number 2 seed in the 3A. Conley knocked off Rose on Friday night in another thriller between the two rivals. So had those two had split their 2 games this year. Conley won the first one 5-1. Rose won the second game 1-0 with Hunter Crisper and Robbie O'Neill going at it. And then Conley wins 7-5 on Friday night on Jake Lyssett's double with two-run double, 2-out double in the 6th inning. So Conley will host number 31 seeded Hornet Central, which is 8-12. They'll play Wednesday night. If Conley wins, there's a good chance they'll play Charles B. Aycock, which is a conference member. They've already beat Aycock twice, but Aycock started the season number 1 in the state. Aycock is 18-6. All 6 of those losses are in the conference. So it's a really tough Eastern Carolina conference with Conley, South Central, Neburn's pretty good, Rose. So just kind of a brutal stretch there to go through. Aycock will play Hornet Central. There's 15th seed and at 12-14. Rose got the number 10 seed is at 17-6, and they will host 23rd seeded Eastern Alamance. It's 12-9. New Hanover 20-0 is the top seed in Class 3A. And 4A, South Central is the 13th seed, and the Falcons will host number 20 Millbrook. Millbrook is 14-9, and the Falcons have really been on fire lately. They've won 5 of the last 6 games, and they beat Topsail, Charles B. Aycock, and Conley in a 4-day stretch last week. Holly Springs is the East top seed, and if you remember last year, Holly Springs knocked off Rose in the 4th round and then ended up losing to New Hanover in 2 games in the state championship. In Class 2A, North Pitt is seeded 26 at 10-13, and the Panthers will travel to 7th seeded First Flight, 12-8. In softball, South Central is the 2nd seed as the Eastern Carolina Conference champion. Falcons are 20-1 and have a first-round bye. South Central's won 18 in a row, and they have scored in double figures in 8 consecutive games, and they've hit 19 home runs, 75 extra base hits. They're led by Cameron Davis, hit .591 with 14 doubles, 1 triple, and 10 home runs. She's also driven in 46 runs and scored 33. Junior Madison Deans is batting .470 with 21 RBIs and 41 runs scored. Junior Amaya Evans is at .431, 2 home runs. Freshman Allie Johnson batting .356, and junior Marissa Roach at .344. South Central will host either Lumberton, the number 15 seed at 15-9, or number 18 Roseville. They're 11-8 in the 2nd round. Fuquay-Varina is the top seed at 17-1. Heritage, which is 16-1, and their its only loss came to South Central, is the 3rd seed. In Class 3A, D.H. Conley is Conley's 14-7 and will be seeded 19th, and Conley will visit number 14 seed West Johnston at 14-8. West Brunswick at 21-1 as the East top seed. In Class 2A, Aiden Grifton is 13-7. It's the number 25 seed and will visit number 8 Midway, which is 16-5. And Farmville Central, the number 14 seed at 14-8, hosts fellow Eastern Plains Conference member and number 19 seed Bedingfield at 16-3. And there's got to be some way the North Carolina High School Athletic Association can avoid putting conference members against each other in the first round of the playoffs. It's just ridiculous the way they do some of these pairings that you play a conference member in the first round. It just really needs to be avoided. South Granville at 19-0 is the top seed, and Eastern Plains Conference member is 23. North Johnston is 23-1 and seeded 2nd. In soccer, in 3A girls, Conley is seeded 6 at 12-4-4 and will host number 27 Lee County at 7-6. And Rhodes is seeded 17 at 12-6-2 and will travel to number 16 Southern Lee at 9-6. And boys lacrosse, Rose hosts Carrboro on Tuesday after an 8-2 first-round win over Cedar Ridge. The Rampants are 13-3 on the season, and Carrboro is 8-7. J.H. Rose girls had a first-round bye, then fell to actually 18-4. In beach volleyball, Rose won 3 of 4 matches on Sunday to qualify as the number 2 seed in the Eastern Division and earn an automatic bid to the state championship for high school club beach volleyball. That'll be held May 20th at Captain Bill's in Wilmington. The program's only 3 years old, and they have sent a team to the state championships twice now. And its top-seeded duo for the third straight year will be going. Haley Davis and Delana Dawson earned the number 3 seed from the Eastern Division and are the first Rose duo to earn an automatic bid. And in boys beach volleyball, Rose's Joshua Starnes and Nick Huber remained undefeated last weekend and will represent the Eastern Division at the state championships on May 19th at Captain Bill's in Wilmington. Turning to Greenville Little League, the teams have started their Tar Heel and North State play after interleague play. Story of the year so far is Brown and Wood at 9-0, the only undefeated team in the league, and 1-0 in league play. In Tar Heel, Remax is 6-3. Eastern Plumbing and Carolina Window Doors are both 5-4. Jarman Auto Sales is 4-5. Pepsi Cola 4-5. EC Autos at 2-7, and BB&T 1-6. Brown and Wood, Remax, Carolina Windows and Doors, and Pepsi all picked up wins in their first league games. Over in the North State League, Coke, Physicians East, Ross Orthodontics, and Kiwanis all won their first league games. So Coke is 7-2 overall, Physicians East 6-3. Overton's, Optimus, Ross Orthodontics, and Kiwanis are all at 5-4. Host Lines is at 2-7, and Sylvan is at 1-8. And that's a look at the sports wrap for this week. We will be back after this message with D.H. Conley head coach Jason Mills to talk about the upcoming playoffs.
Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey craft beer fans, did you know that Tiebreakers now stocks over 50 craft beers? We have slowly added to our craft beer menu and are continuing to add new crafts weekly with your help. Stop by after work and try one of your favorite craft beers and enjoy one of our handcrafted appetizers, burgers, or salads. If you're serious about your craft beer, then find us on the Untapped app. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey craft beer fans, did you know that Tiebreakers now stocks over 50 craft beers? We have slowly added to our craft beer menu and are continuing to add new crafts weekly with your help. Stop by after work and try one of your favorite craft beers and enjoy one of our handcrafted appetizers, burgers, or salads. If you're serious about your craft beer, then find us on the Untapped app. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey craft beer fans, did you know that Tiebreakers now stocks over 50 craft beers? We have slowly added to our craft beer menu and are continuing to add new crafts weekly with your help. Stop by after work and try one of your favorite craft beers and enjoy one of our handcrafted appetizers, burgers, or salads. If you're serious about your craft beer, then find us on the Untapped app. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Welcome back to the Sports Wrap. We are here at Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill on Smithwick Drive. I'd like to thank Jenny Hart for stopping by to talk about Pitt Community College softball. And now we have Jason Mills, head coach of the Eastern Carolina Conference champion. Like the sound of that? D.S. Conley Vikings. And Jason, now I guess it's time to turn the page to playoff time, you gotta kind of put that behind you and look ahead. But let's talk about the season to this point. I know when you come into a season, obviously you want to win a championship, but when you looked at this team, what about this team that you knew was special and you had a chance to accomplish this?
Well, coming in, we were really unsure what we had. We knew we had a couple really good arms. And, you know, it was a season where I told my AD I thought we were going to go maybe 12-12 and not do well and maybe finish 4th or 5th in the league, and because we've got a very strong conference, obviously. Go out first game of the season, you lose 12-2, and you're going, well, this is going to be what the team's going to be. And we have a real young team and a nice mix of seniors in there and a couple juniors that started every game last year, and so they kind of took over and got us rolling right. And when they did, we had a couple big wins in there. And I'll tell you, when I thought we had a chance to be really special was when we played CBA Cock the first time over at their place, and we went down 3-0 and had to take Robbie off the mound because we were getting near pitch count for that early in the season. And we stormed back and won 8-3 and got some guys really picked up our club in some big situations, and that's when we knew we thought we might have something.
Yeah, you mentioned this conference, and it really is strong. I mean, top to bottom. You look at ACOC, started the year number 1 in Class 3A, and then, of course, Rose. South Central may have been overlooked, but they may have one of the best 1-2 combinations in the league with Scott Mayo and Drew Nichols, and then obviously Newbern's pretty strong. So, I mean, it's kind of a gauntlet that you have to run. And
you forget about Southern Wayne in there.
Right.
I mean, Southern Wayne didn't make the playoffs, and they're 22nd ranked team in the state, and they're sitting home, and you feel bad for them, and it's just – that's the breaks. And Eastern Wayne is, you play them and they run out Landon Ginn out there, and he's 90 to 92 miles an hour, and you're going, this is the 7th place team in the league. So it's a tough one.
Yeah. What I've noticed about your guys is they have so much fun playing the game. There's so much energy in the dugout, and they're always picking each other up. Is that something you ingrained in these guys, or is that their nature? They just really have fun being out on the field? We
really try to push that as much as we can. I mean, you only get to play high school athletics once in your life, and if you don't enjoy it while you're here, you're going to look back and say how miserable it was. And the few guys we have that get a chance to play in college are going to find out what a job that can be. And so this is kind of the last bastion of really having fun. And there's the having fun and talking a lot of junk, and then there's having fun and having a lot of class, and that's the part we try to do, is make sure our kids are well behaved, but yet understand that working as a team and having a good time doing it as a team will pay off in the long run.
It's been a couple of special moments this year that I particularly remember. Robbie's performance at Guy Smith when he struck out 15 was, just one of the best. I've covered high school baseball since 1985, and I'm telling you how old I am. But I've seen some really good pitchers, but that's one of the best I've seen in 30 years. And then, Jake's clutch hit the other night, just to come through in a rivalry with that much on the line and to come through. Just a special moment for your kids.
Well, definitely, and those Rose games for both sides. You could talk about Hunter Christopher's performance in the game they beat us 1-0, and Robbie almost matched him that day. He was equal, pitched out of some big jams there, and didn't have his greatest stuff. And it seems like when Conley Rose get together, there's something special every night. And Ronald does a great job, and Clay does a great job over there, and their kids play extremely hard. And we both kind of cherish that rivalry between the two of us. I think I told you before we had played 41 times now, and maybe 42 coming up here in 19 years. And every time we play them, we can talk about games between me and Coach Vincent that happened back in 1999 or games that happened in 2018. Every one of them, has a special performance on one side or the other.
Yeah. I know for David, maybe the year didn't get off the way he started, but the way he's finished the year for you, you've got to be happy for him as a senior and now a chance to go into the playoffs and to build on that.
Well, we kind of caught a break on Tuesday because he was not good against Southern Wayne. He lasted less than an inning, and that enabled us to run him back out there. And, he knows we have a lot of confidence in him, and we're going to play hard behind him. And as long as he stays in the zone and attacks the zone, he's going to be good. And he got an unfortunate no decision the other day. I thought he pitched really well and probably one of his best performances. We just dropped 3 fly balls in there that ran that pitch count up and gave them a chance to score. But man, that was special for David because he hadn't really had the big opportunity to throw the big game in his career because Robbie's been here this year and Noah Jones last year, and those are 2 really good arms. And before that, of course, we had Sanderson and Packard when he was a junior, or a sophomore, and so he's it was nice seeing him get that opportunity finally to pitch in the biggest of big games, and I thought he did brilliantly.
Yeah. You only find out the seeds earlier today, probably 10:30, 11 o'clock now. Not a lot of time to do a scouting report. You look at Western Hardin and you just look at the record, but when you look through, 7 one-run games, 6-5 in their league.
And they got a really good arm first right off the bat. We're facing Baker Nelson. I got a chance to see him throw at state games and then twice last year during the summer, and he's special. He's really good, and we've got our work cut out for us. They're 8-12 and 7-1 in the games he pitches, so it tells you how important he is to their team. And we're running a pretty good arm out there in Robbie as well. And not to look past them, but then you look ahead. And you're sitting there staring at Aycock and Rose possibly in the next 2 rounds. So, and then if any of us are lucky to get through those 3 rounds, then you're looking at a Terry Sanford or a Western Alamance who have 1 loss each, and then, of course, probably the top team in the state, New Hanover, sitting on the other side. And, the 3A is a gauntlet. And it's you look at it, you're going to have some breaks, and you're going to have to play really, really well to get through our side. And then to beat New Hanover, you're going to have to play out of your mind and then get a couple lucky breaks in there to have a chance to compete with them.
Yeah. I know it's a cliche, but you don't want to look ahead. But how do you keep your kids focused solely on Wednesday night, knowing what you're probably going to be facing on the mound?
Well, our goal for every year is to win the conference, and we got step 1 out of the way, and then second one is to go a round further than we did last year, and we lost last year a tough one at Fuquay Arena in the first round. So we're focused on this one game, and they know that's what we've been talking about all year. And the third goal we won't talk about. That's the big one, and anything after winning Wednesday night for me is icing on the cake. Of course, these kids want to win everything, but for us as a program, that's the goal, is to get to that second round, and we've got a tough competitor ahead of us.
Yeah. Just as a coach, how gratifying has this year been to this point to see these kids, work hard and have some success and be in this situation now?
I tell you, we've had some good clubs and been very fortunate to have some really good ones to be part of, but there's something about this team that I wasn't expecting anything out of them. Like they have performed, and Coach Maloney always tells me, high expectations all the time. You guys always have high expectations, and the kids feel like they have to live up to that. And this bunch has lived up to that. The high expectations we have, and we've struggled and stumbled sometimes this year. And when we have, they've gotten back to work and taken the criticism and taken the hard practices and the extra runs and the yelling and screaming, along with the pat on the butt and the it's okay, rub on the shoulder, and really performed well. And maybe the 2009 team that went to the Eastern Finals and lost to Rocky Mountain, who won the state championship, might have been the other team that kind of equates to this team. Not a high expectation, but performed brilliantly. And the state championship teams and the state runner-up team, we knew we were really good those years, and we had that thought right off the bat of doing that. So,
certainly a lot of good baseball in Pitt County this year with South Central and Rose and Conley, and this is really a fun team to watch. It's been a pleasure to watch you guys play and go out to the ballpark and just see the energy they put in and the fun they have. But get out to a ballpark Wednesday night. There'll be 3 playoff games in Pitt County, and want to see Robbie O'Neill pitch and be in for a treat. Get out to Conley on Wednesday. But Jason, appreciate you coming by. Always appreciate your time, and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Jason Mills and D.H. Conley. We'll be back with a couple of Conley players right after this.
Thank you very much.
Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment. Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Welcome back to the Sports Wrap. We are here at Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill. And we'd like to thank Jenny Hart from Pitt Community College for stopping by, and Coach Jason Mills with DH Conley Baseball. I'd like to welcome in Robbie O'Neill and Nick Baldwin, the captain, as they call it. Exciting time for you guys. Let's look back first before we look ahead to the playoffs. Conference champions. Obviously, when you start the season, that's what you want, but Robbie or Nick, either one, just you start out the season, obviously that's your goal, but at what point during the season you say, guys, we got a chance to do this?
Well, first of all, we had our first big conference game against CBA Cock, and we had a good win there, and then after Rose, when we won that one, we were feeling pretty confident, and that's when we knew we could do it.
Yeah.
We just had to capitalize on our opportunity.
Robbie, this is such a tough conference with, Rose, South Central, with two really good pitchers. Eastern Wayne's got a guy going to East Carolina. Aycock started the year, number one in the state. Just going against that competition, do you know you got to bring your best every night in that conference?
Yes, sir. No doubt. You gotta come every night prepared to win, prepared to do what you got to do to win, and preparing ourselves not only in this conference but for the playoffs, because all these teams are tough. When you play against them, you're going to get their best effort, and all we can try to do is give our best. Yeah,
Nick, I've noticed about you guys, y'all have so much fun playing. There's so much energy in the dugout. You're always picking each other up. Does that start at the top from Coach Mills, or is that just a personality of this group?
Well, I think Coach Mills definitely brings some energy with it, but we're just a close-knit team, and we try to have fun and keep the dugout active and just yelling and having fun and always supporting our teammates out there.
Yeah. High school's a short time. You might as well enjoy it, right?
Yes, sir.
Rob, I want to go back to that Rose. We talked about it a couple of games, but the performance you had against Rose, is that just one night when you're just in the zone and, everything's happening right for you?
Yes, sir. Everything was clicking. The first inning's usually the hardest one for me, and once I get through the first inning, if I can see where every pitch is moving and how it's working, and just go into the next innings and have that in the back of my mind and how I'm going to face these next hitters and get ahead. This pitch count 105 in a game. You got to make the most of your pitches and make them count. So just using them to the best of my ability, and obviously you want to get guys out, but that night it was just in a zone. I didn't know how many strikeouts I had. I was in a zone, and the emotions were there, and it was a fun night. Yeah,
you mentioned the pitch count. How much is that in the back of your mind, trying to conserve pitches, make the most? Obviously you want to throw strikes, but you throw too many strikes, they're going to hit you. So how do you work around that mentally to approach a 105 pitch count?
Well, I try not to think about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the game, obviously it counts, because then you got to get guys up in the bullpen.
Right.
But no, I try not to think about it too much. The first 4 or 5 innings, just get ahead of hitters. Strikeouts, ground outs, and pop outs. First pitch outs, you can't do any better than that. And just getting through it pretty quick and make sure everything's working. That way, when you get deeper in the game, you still have the stamina to withgo heavier innings.
Yeah. And Nick, obviously, y'all would have loved to have won the conference championship at South Central.
Yes, sir.
But to be able to play Rose one more time, dog pile on your home field, is that a pretty good trade-off?
Oh, yeah. I know winning when we had the chance the first time would have been great, but just the opportunity to have that Conley Rose rivalry one more time at our place with the stands full. That was just something you will never forget.
Now you got several juniors on this team, but for you seniors, I mean, how big is this now going into the playoffs? It's do or die now.
Oh yeah, I think the juniors understand what's at stake, and I think they're going to give us everything they got to just survive and advance every round. No team's going to be an easy win. So.
Yeah, and you look at Western Hornets' record, 8-12. It could be dangerous because they got a pitcher. Blake Nelson's pretty good. They've had 7-1 run games. I think they're 7-1 in the games that he's pitched. So how do you guys put that record aside and really focus on the job at hand?
We really got to come into the game. Like you said, do or die. You got to win to move on, and you can't take any team lightly. Some of the losses we've had this year we've taken the team lightly instead of coming out with the energy in the games that we obviously win. We come out with energy in those games. We got to stay on top of it the whole game. If we let it slip, that could be the one opportunity they have to score and put us away.
Yeah, and with that number 2 seed, there's kind of a target on your back, right?
Oh yes, sir, for sure.
Just talk about how much fun this year's been. Obviously, there's a lot of teams that would trade places with you right now that are going to be sitting home this week. So, just can you just kind of highlight, how much fun this year has been for you?
Well, it's been a great senior year. First of all, last year we were close as a team, but I think this year we've had even better memories and just been tight as a team. And I think that'll help us in playoffs. Just giving it all for each other.
Yeah.
And it was really intense this year, coming to this season, not knowing what we're going to be capable of. Coach Mills' goal for us at the beginning of the year was just get into the playoffs, And we kind of had that mindset of nobody on this team had won a conference championship. And that was obviously our first goal. And you got other juniors like Cam Jackson, Shea Ward that have stepped up at times for us this year. And really coming through for this team. And, this year, like he said, I feel like we're a lot closer than we were last year. We're going out to eat almost after every game, every home game at least, and, getting to the park early to take some swings. This team wants to get better and this team wants to succeed, and, nothing makes me happier than to be on a team with a bunch of winners.
Yeah. Well, it's a fun team to watch. Robbie on the mound and you guys in the dugout, and just playing the game the way it should be played. So come out to the ballpark on Wednesday night and catch a playoff game. I'd like to thank Robbie O'Neill, junior pitcher, and Nick Baldwin, the captain,
yes, sir,
for being with us tonight. And wish you guys the best of luck in the playoffs.
Yes,
Thanks for joining
us.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
Well, that will wrap up tonight's show of the Sports Wrap. Just join us next Monday. We'll be back here at Tiebreakers at 6 p.m. Good night, everybody.